الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. And last thing to remind us, all of us, to turn off the phone, inshallah, during the khutbah. Double check your phone and turn it off, please.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. وقال مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم من عز وجل قال عز وجل الصيام لي وأنا أجزي به، أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. نسأل الله جعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this day, for this special day. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls our attention on the uniqueness of Ramadan. That the translation more or less, O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may attain taqwa. Fasting has been prescribed to us. If it is prescribed, then which means basically it's a prescription. And if it is a prescription, then it has to do with our health. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends the ayah by saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that you may have taqwa. A unique Arabic word that has no English equivalent. Because wikaya has to do with actually taking protection against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by getting closer to Him. And that is the difference between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from anybody and anything else. If you are afraid of anybody, if you are afraid of anything, you actually run away from it, or you run away from him or her. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's just the opposite. If you are afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you run towards Him by adhering to His dictates based on the Quran and the Sunnah. The health that is prescribed, which Ramadan has actually come to, mashallah, renew. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the opportunity for each and every year. The prescription first and foremost has to do with our spiritual health. It is a 1 month intensive training that is supposed to change your life for good. If you go to a driving school, you know, they teach you how, mashallah, when you get to red light, you have to stop. And when you get to, even though in New York, the law actually sometimes, get bent. As someone said, he said in New York there is no stopping. Actually, green means go, amber means go faster, red means go at your own risk. But then they basically teach you to stop, to just look left and right, how, mashallah, to put your hands on the seat and turn so that you pass and get your driver's license. And so you are not expected, after passing and getting your driver's license, to start hitting people and beating red light, because you have been taught what to do. You are expected, after getting a driver's license, to actually go according to dictates of the course that you took from driving school. Ramadan is actually to refine us and give us the chance, after 11 months of distraction, to retap into our spiritual self and reconnect tightly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so after 1 month intensive training, you are supposed to be your best. Not to go to always. No, you have now been given a driver's license after 1 month intensive course. So you're supposed to actually show all that Ramadan has taught you. The connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love for others, recitation of Al-Quran, thinking always of Akhirah, forgiveness, where the Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said that even if someone provokes you, you're supposed to be yourself, because you are a Muslim. You're not like anybody else. You are not using what the psychologists are calling the reactionary brain. You are rather using what is called the higher or the new brain. The Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said that if someone even provokes you, you tell him, listen, I don't want to get into this. I'm fasting. And so you are realigning your emotional and psychological health. And the fact that anytime someone comes in the masjid, you are actually willing to, mashallah, share whatever you have with him. Kindness, And Ramadan teaches you patience. Sometimes you just feel like eating. Sometimes you just feel like doing whatever you want to do. But Ramadan is actually restricting you. And so it teaches you patience. Self-discipline. Ramadan teaches self-discipline. And in this special 10 days, it teaches you how to reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when people are sleeping. You stand on your feet and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to actually empower you to reconnect with Him and serve the purpose of life. Sometimes we get distracted, so much so that we even forget our final destination. And as I told some brothers, I say, if you are traveling, you do all what it takes to get to the airport 2 to 3 hours ahead of time. So that, mashallah, you go through the security check, mashallah, just to get on the flight. Now, once you get on the flight, you kind of a little bit comfortable because now, mashallah, you know, inshallah, you're going to a destination. The flight you spend maybe 5, 7, 10 hours, whatever it is, you kind of relax. But you know at the end, you're going to, mashallah, continue and get to your final destination because you're going back home. And that is the purpose of life. The dunya is like going to the airport. You know, we have to do this and we have to take this. And that's what we do in dunya. And when we get on the flight, that is our life in barzakh, between death and qiyamah. But the final destination is what? Going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you are not expected to spend more time at the airport, which is dunya. And in barzakh, you know very well this is just a flight. But it's actually to take you to what? Your final destination. The purpose of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually made it very clear. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. I did not create, says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create mankind and the jinn except to worship Him. So all what we are doing, go to work, getting married, all these are actually to facilitate the purpose of our existence. And the fact that if you step back and think the importance of this purpose, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put everything in perfect order for the benefit of mankind. Everything. Says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Dariyat, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأنه خلق الزوجين الذكر والأنثى من نطفة إذا تمنى. Allah is the one who actually created man and woman, the male and the female, from the sperm as it gushes forward towards the womb. And that is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected you and I. And as we all know, at one point there were 300 million approximately of us. Each and every sperm rushing to what? To actually get connected with the woman's egg in order to come to this world. About 300 million. Now that's a lot. But why will out of 300 million Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala select you and I? Why? And that's why sometimes I laugh at scientists. When I was invited in downtown to give a speech, I threw the challenge. I said, I want one scientist in the world, one, to come and let's talk science, to prove to me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't exist. One scientist. I don't want conjecture. I want science. You didn't create yourself. As a matter of fact, out of 300 million rushing to the mother's womb, you didn't even know why you were selected. I don't know why I was selected. You don't know. Which means out of 300 million, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected you for a purpose. And so when we get distracted from this purpose and do whatever you want to do, mashallah, which means we miss the point. For every breath, before you breathe, you inhale and exhale, it takes approximately 60 trillion with T, 60 trillion biological calculations for every breath. Why will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you that much for free? Why? You don't deserve life. You have no reason, no proof to say that I deserve to live at this moment. No. I deserve to breathe. No. Without a bell, I deserve to actually blink my eyes. And within that blink, for all this excretion to come so that I can take the next picture, the eyes take it to the back of the brain to actually see what comes. If I'm going to read Quran, I'm going to read Hadith, or my tongue to actually send from what comes from the brain to actually articulate it on the tongue, to tell people what I want to tell them. And as you are now hearing me, 6,000 strings each ear, actually reconnecting to actually see if you have the file of this type of English, so that you can actually decipher and know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot to live for each and every second, for which we have no right. You have no right to live at this moment. Why will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all these? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the Muslim further. Now he's not just a human being, he is a Muslim. And so you are supposed to be so sophisticated. You are supposed to be upright. You are supposed to be the role model. You are supposed to be the agent, so to speak, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as people look at you, they can actually see the reflection of Al-Islam. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala squarely put it on our shoulders. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. You are the best ever evolved in mankind. The evolution here has nothing to do with the joke that Darwin actually promoted, which by the time of his death, himself, he was amateur when he was doing all this those nonsense. By the time of his death, he admitted that to actually say the eyes, which actually sees with all its complicity, to have come by chance, is, I freely admit, absurd. Which means, in other words, he's now actually confirming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. But then they kind of like bury that. I'm talking of evolution of mankind. At one time as a sperm, as you actually grow, from that one sperm, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. And from that flesh, you have all these organs. And you have bones coming from this teeny, tiny, soft thing. Where are all these and for what reason? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you are the best ever evolved. Why? Because ta'muruna bil ma'ruf. You enjoin that which is good and forbid that which is bad. And you firmly believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now please, the question is, are we fulfilling this purpose as Muslims? The Ummah has largely miserably failed because we've actually disconnected from the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for 11 months, 22 or 23 days gone, we have 1 week. That's our last chance. And so let us give it our best shot. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who lives to see next Ramadan. Let me take it a little further. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who lives to see the end of this very day, the fasting. Are you going to break the fast or not? And so by reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have 1 month. We all know about hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have actually climbed his member. The first step he said Amin, the second step he said Amin, the third step he said Amin. After that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were surprised. And they asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Alaman amanta ya Rasulullah, to whom are you saying Amin? Amin, because we overheard you saying Amin. One of the point is, the Jibril alayhi salam came to me saying that, woe unto him who actually witnessed Ramadan and did not take advantage of Ramadan to be forgiven. Say Amin. So that's what I said, Amin. And so what you going to do with the dua that Jibril alayhi salam invoked? And the best of the best, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying Amin. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us today. Let us take advantage of this day and actually renew and be far better. There is always room for improvement. Always. And how do we walk a fine line between our job and trying to actually search for Laylatul Qadr, which is best? Laylatul Qadr khayr min alif shahr, best than what? 1,000 months. By calculation, that is 83 years, 4 months. Wallahi, if we have been working for 11 months, 22, 23 days, and we couldn't make it, wallahi, this 1 week won't make any difference. It won't make any difference. And so, if we have to calculate, we should calculate our sleeping. The party should actually base on the calculation of waking up in the night and searching for Laylatul Qadr. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with Laylatul Qadr. And searching for the Laylatul Qadr instead of looking, no, this, mashallah, is not even a must. We have all these excuses, but we cannot afford to actually miss this. This is our last chance. And with all what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and with all the selection out of 300 million, the 60 trillion biological calculation per nanosecond, the fact that after being a human being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected you to be a Muslim and has actually given you this day, you can't afford to miss it. And that has to do with our spiritual health. And let us be better tomorrow and be far better the next day, so that by the end of Ramadan you can feel within yourself that you've actually changed for the better. The course, the 1 month intensive course, has an impact on you, because after Ramadan, I don't used to gossip now, mashallah, like before. I don't used to watch too much TV, and or sometimes you get a certain point where, mashallah, flipping, just want to look at girls. Or I can see that Ramadan has actually refined me. Then you can feel that it has an impact on you. Sometimes you go to a course. Some people actually pass through the course. At the end of the day, you can't even tell that they've gone through the course. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. After Ramadan, if you go back to our old ways, where we spend more time on social media or WhatsApp or Facebook or Facebook or whatever it is, more than the Quran, more than the thinking of Akhirah, more than our family, which means we miss the point. But after Ramadan, and we can feel it, you can actually gloss over, but to yourself. And sometimes man has actually gotten to a point where he even wants to lie to himself. But deep down, you can know whether this course has actually impacted you or not. You can feel it. You can feel it. And so please, let us do all what it takes. We have more or less 1 week. Wallahi, we can't afford to let it go. And sometimes this could be a determining factor between the Jannah
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us Jannah. Or Jahannam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Wallahi, sometimes something that you actually forgot, something that you did, that kindness, that patience, not that you cannot actually retaliate, not that you don't want to have the food by yourself, not that you can't actually do this or that, but you say, you know what, Ramadan is actually telling me to stop this. I will want to do it emotionally, I want to best out, but Ramadan is actually restricting me. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to stop this. Yes, I'm yearning to go back, mashallah, just go back flipping and looking stuff, or listening to stuff or watching stuff, but Ramadan has actually restricted me. And if Ramadan could restrict you from morning to evening, which means by extension it can actually restrict you from night to morning, and so which means we are cured. And I don't want to talk about cigarettes, because sometimes it's so mind-boggling that you tend to wonder, how could a Muslim get to a point where he smokes? A Muslim. How? On the packet, the kafir who has actually packed everything in the box has actually told you as a Muslim that this will kill you. This is unhealthy. This is going to kill you. It can cause cancer. And in the masjid, they say, fi sabilillah, you look at the money you keep it, and you go out and you buy poison, knowingly that you are harming yourself. And I can remember in Mecca, a brother was smoking right outside, wallahi, right outside Kaaba, right outside the Haram. And I asked, I said, brother, right behind you, the Prophet ﷺ used to be here. For at least, with all your addiction, respect your deen, respect the Prophet ﷺ, respect yourself, and not to smoke. He kind of like look at me, like maybe he's wondering from which planet was this guy from. A Muslim. And Ramadan has actually come. If Ramadan can actually restrict you from morning to evening, which means by extension it can actually restrict you from what? From night to morning. I'm not here to condemn smokers. I know what is addiction. And I know why in that only did they put nicotine. I know why they put chocolate, even chocolate, in cigarette. I know why. And so when it tricks your brain and it releases dopamine, you can always ask for more. And even though you know that it's very harmful, the brain is actually yearning for more. So that it gets this release of dopamine, you kind of like feel good. Within few seconds, it's gone and you want another one, knowing very well that your body is a man. The Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, your body has right over you. And so you are supposed to actually feed it that which is right. But then now with smoking, alhamdulillah, Ramadan is here. All what you have to do is by stopping from morning to evening. You discipline yourself to start from evening to morning. You are cured. And all those bad stuff that we have been doing, by stopping from morning to evening, we can extend it from evening, especially this last 10 days. You even don't have time. In the night, you're supposed to stand on your feet and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you, to forgive you and your family, your community, the world in general, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with this special night. Because we don't know when. Some people have actually come with 27th and they kind of relax. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna corner them on 27th and I got it right there. 84 years and wait for the next year. It doesn't work like that. Who told you? What about if this year Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decide to bring it 21st or 23rd? There are hadith indicating to all these days. And so let us give them all our best shot. And that has to do with what? Our spiritual health. And by connection, that can actually permeate in our family. Because we are having problem with our families. I have a brother right here. Remember the last time when I came, I told you that how could we get to a point where we've suffered and doing all these hard jobs, driving cabs, and have our children born right here. and be competing with us driving cars. How? They have the chance. They are on the same plate like Mr. Obama. If he could become the president, they could. And after that, a brother told me, you are even taking it much more further. Now they can even drive the taxi that we're driving. They want to drive taxi, but they even can't. Because some of them can't even pass drug test. Subhanallah. And some of them have criminal records. So even you driving taxi, they see that we well off. A Muslim. How do we get to this point? At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they didn't have problem with the youth. Why do we have problem with our youth? Why? Why? You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set everything in order. And this is the master plan. And if we work according to the master plan, we get the master result. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد صرفنا في هذا القرآن للناس من كل مثل وكان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا. That's our problem. Everything has been laid out for us, but we are always ever contentious, wanting to do whatever you want, the way we want it, when we want it. And yet we expect the results to be that of the master plan. It has never worked and it will never work. Unless we rise up, use this Ramadan to actually see the way we actually unite in Ramadan. Don't let this evaporate after Ramadan. The way we actually think of each and everyone, caring for each and every brother and sister, don't let it evaporate after Ramadan. When we do that, and we bring this unity, and we bring mashallah and work according to the master plan, the result will actually permeate and reflect on our children. By and large, we are partly responsible for, for the problems of our children. How could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with a child and you don't have time for him, or you don't have time for her? And if you send your child to the army school, you expect him to come home, mashallah, very active. Because he's been trained by the army. And if you send your child to be trained by a boxer, you don't expect him for someone to be punching and putting his hand on the... You're supposed to actually defend himself, because you've sent him to be trained by a boxer. If you send your child to be trained by a kafir, how can you have the audacity and temerity to ask why is he behaving like a kafir when you don't have time for him or for her? We dump them in schools, mashallah, and come home, relax. We just want to dump them and go to work and come home, mashallah. Why? Ramadan is here to actually reconnect us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an individual, as a family, as a community, and as a nation. When we do that, I take care of the family, you take care of the family, we take care of each other. And as we care for each other in Ramadan, we extend it after Ramadan. As we think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day in, day out, and ensure that we are at our best, if we extend it after Ramadan, wallah, we see the difference, and it will reflect in our children. If the Jews can do it, if the Chinese Americans can do it, if the Korean Americans can do it, the Christians are doing it. They don't have problem with their children. You don't go to Brooklyn or go to Avenue A or B and see all these Jewish boys hanging around with their distance, insulting elders. They live also in New York. How did they do it? The unity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually told us over 1,400 years ago to cling to. Ramadan is actually here to renew it. Please, we shouldn't let it go. So that after Ramadan, let us see the impact. Feel it. 1 month intensive course, feel it. So that after Ramadan, mashallah, we come up as a new, healthy, vibrant community. For now, we don't have community, with all due respect. We act like we are a community. We kind of like talk like we are community. We kind of like behave like we are community. But in reality, we are a crowd. You know the community. Look at the syntax. I told you the last time here. Community from come, unity. Community. You come and unite so that you achieve the goal for the benefit of the community. Sometimes you have to be patient, and sometimes I have to be patient, and sometimes we have to compromise. And if you always say that, yes, I'm always right, you got to do what I got to do. The Prophet ﷺ in the Battle of Badr, when he positioned the Sahaba, you remember the Sahaba were asking with respect, please, is this your idea or is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says, it's from my idea. He said, if that is the case, why don't we go in front of the water so that we have a backup? The Prophet didn't say, shut up, I am the Prophet. No. He actually listened, respected his view, and that became a key to the success of Islam. If Islam was what then, wallah, you and I wouldn't have been a Muslim today. We all know, because the Prophet ﷺ raised his hand, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if these people are wiped out, nobody will ever worship you again on the surface of the earth. It came because the Prophet ﷺ has to listen and respect his fellow Muslims. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already inspired him. وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you have been stern and just, shut up, I have the right, you should always listen to me, I am this, I am that, they will have dispersed and they will have lost the battle of Badr. And so this is a lesson that we should take. Wallahi, when we sometimes be patient with ourselves and listen to each other and respect each other, not only Ramadan, we extend it after Ramadan, because this is the spirit of Ramadan. We all know we are at our best. Let us extend it after Ramadan and see how now we start to act and behave like a community, not like a crowd. As a crowd, we can't survive. We can. But as a community, we can. That's what the Jews are doing. That's what the Chinese Americans are doing. That's what the Christians, everybody else is doing it except the Muslims. All what I want now is, I have my sheikh here. Let's have some few mashallah Quranic verses, and the next day, the grocery store that the brothers were parking, I just have it. Also have my masjid, mashallah. And within that, the brothers have to do this, and because we disagree on something else, how dare you talk to me like that? Back home, our tribe is better than yours. You know what? Where are my people, my tribe? You come, let's go to the next building. There is another grocery store that they're moving. We open our own masjid, mashallah. The Prophet ﷺ during his time, Bilal didn't have an African masjid. Neither Salman said, you know what? I'm from Europe. I'm a white man. Let me have our own European masjid. Or let's say, I'm Pharisee. Let's have a. They didn't do like that. So they didn't have problem with the children. Why? Because they can positively impact the children. In Ramadan, this Ramadan has actually exposed our weakness for which we have to rectify. In this Ramadan, ask yourself, in the night, how many of our children show up? How many? If you can have our children to actually come and search for Laylatul Qadr, and we are alive, tell me, why will they continue searching for Laylatul Qadr after our death? Please, as we are doing all what it takes to be the best, let us extend it to the family. You do it, I do it, and we come out and be patient with each other, and sometimes compromise, and sometimes look at the bigger picture and be patient with your selfish need and act like a community. Ramadan is actually teaching us all this, and we are showing it. We are patient, we are caring, we are generous. 1 month intensive training. Let us continue that after Ramadan. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah, al-qail, alhamdulillah, alladhi lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ardi wa lahu alhamdu fil akhirah, wa huwa al-hakim al-khabir. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi al-tahar wa sahabati al-abrar. In quick closing, as we fast in Ramadan from morning to evening, we are not eating. And so the body has to actually tap into the reservoir, the fat. All that has been accumulated, all these toxins that we've been accumulating for what? For 11 months in our system, because Ramadan is actually tapping into what? The reservoir and using fat as what? As energy. It also helps dissolve all these toxins and get rid of them. That's why you are at your healthiest at the end of Ramadan. And so besides the spiritual and the psychological and the emotional health, Ramadan, time is not on our side to actually spend, but Ramadan is also super when it comes to our physical health. And that's why after Ramadan, in Ramadan you see that if you are diabetic, you can see that it's actually cereal, hypertension, diabetes. With Ramadan, this is not a prescription but just for educational purposes. Imagine in Ramadan and having either turmeric, which is rich in curcumin or berberine, and see how, mashallah, the diabetes will actually stabilize. Or using hawthorn when it comes to hypertension, or using magnesium citrate and coenzyme Q10 when it comes to heart disease for the prevention of stroke, using fasting and having nattokinase when it comes to the brain, boosting the brain. Because of fasting, you just have to add what? Vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin, or using bacopa manure. When it comes to the eyes, using either bilberry or eyeberry or lutein from watercress. Ramadan, we can go on and on. Time is not on the side, but Ramadan is up to not only cleansing us and improving our spiritual health, but also our physical health. Our physiological and biochemical balance is well perfected with Ramadan. And that's why even scientists are now saying that at least you should be fasting 6 times in a month. These are non-Muslims. And so Ramadan is special. Inshallah, we all recognize it's special. Let us take advantage. This is the last 7 days. Let us take advantage to reconnect again, to renew our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to rethink the family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. But some of us will come on the day of Qiyamah, they will be having problems, not because they're not fasting, not because they're not praying, but because of the negligence of the family, because of the children. And when we retap that, then we go also again and refine ourselves, refine the family, and be patient. The patience that Ramadan has actually taught us. If we have to be sincere between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and extend it after Ramadan, wallah, you start to see a healthy community. A healthy community, not a crowd. It's very unfortunate, but that's why we are. By and large, we are a crowd. And if Ramadan is teaching us to unite, let us extend that so that we save ourselves. Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara, and save our families. Wallahi, because we have challenges. We bring our children here, or they born here, and we are not integrating them in the system. Imagine a child coming from a place that, mashallah, for every elder, he has to respect an elder whether he knows him or not. And when he sees an elderly person, he takes whatever is in it to actually help him. All what he needs for the elderly person to tell him that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. That's all what he needs. And all of a sudden you bring him and expose him in a culture. He goes to school, he sees a child insulting the teacher and nothing is happening. He goes out, he sees half naked women all around him. We have no mentoring system. We have no counseling. We're not counseling them. We're not mentoring them. We're not integrating them in the system. We're leaving them on their own to actually come up with whatever is best for them. And that's why sometimes they go overboard. They're not only learning in order to prove that they've actually Americanized. They go overboard and become worse than even those born here. Ramadan is a month of reflection. Let us take that into equation. How do we integrate people? And when we bring them, just do like what others are doing. When they come new, they tell them, listen, you see this is a mirage. There are some people who are uncouth, unmannered, illiterate, undisciplined, they use this type of F words, the N word. They do this, and they see them with sagging pants. They have no purpose. Be very careful. So right from day one, you see all these half-naked women. You know why they're doing that? Because they want this. Be very careful. So right from day one, he has actually been warned. So anytime you see you using the F word, he steps back, because he has been told there are some unbrute, unmannered, illiterate, undisciplined people who are using. So the moment you say that, it has been planted in his psyche that you are a negative person. So he avoids you. And if you use the N word, use this, a woman with this, they have been counseled, and they have role models, and they have mashallah, they've been I don't even know the word. Wallah, I don't know what we're doing. They've been integrated in the system, knowing what is right and wrong. When we leave our children, when they come, the cultural shock is going to wipe them out. And next time they're doing what they're doing, we will be asking why. Please, in final closing, Ramadan is actually here to teach us to live with patience, with kindness as a community. We're doing it. Let us extend it after Ramadan and see a healthy community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. And please, the month of Ramadan, whatever you give, it's not like any other month. And this is a special day, Friday, in the month of Ramadan. MashaAllah. So please, after Salat, let us be generous and donate with the niyyah, the intention, whatever intention you have. Donate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as generous as you could, so that we carry out the masjid, because this is where we train our children. The little that we can give them about Islam, if our masjid shut up, wallah, we're going to be even extra miserable. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease our first. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة وقد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيم. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لقد كان لسبع في مسكنهم آية جنتان عن يمين وشمال كلوا من رزق ربكم واشكروا له بلدة طيبة ورب غفور فأرسلنا عليهم سيل العرم وبدلناهم جنتين ذواتي أكل خمط وعسل وشيء من سدر قليل ذلك جزيناهم بما كفروا وهل نجازي إلا الكفور. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده.
الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. في سبيل الله وجزاكم الله خير.
في سبيل الله في سبيل الله في سبيل الله في سبيل الله في سبيل الله
Also Allah, first of all, we like to thank the Imam for the beautiful speech that he gave to us. And I hope this is a lesson for all of us. Take it home to your friends, to your families. So from now on, let's start to change. Change, change. So that's going to be benefit for all of us. All what we're looking for is Jannat. So may Allah forgive all of us. May Allah forgive all of us. May Allah guarantee us in Jannah, inshallah. Don't forget the masjid also to give your donation to masjid, inshallah. You know, we all be generous in this Ramadan, so let's try to more generous.